We go. Look at that. Hey. All right. Hey everyone. Welcome to Vanessa Takes On. We're here. We got double streams going on here. So we got YouTube up top and Facebook down here. Can we see me down here, Tanner? Do we need to adjust this one at all? Testing, testing. All right. So we have a bunch of people who are going to be joining us tonight, and I want to thank you all for being here. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy Friday nights, which, let's face it, if most of you all have kids, it's really not that busy. So maybe I'm doing you a favor. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to have you all. Tonight we're cooking rice and beans and stewed chicken. This is rice and beans made in coconut milk. So it's a little bit different than what you might see in some Jamaican food or in other parts of the Caribbean. So rice and beans and stewed chicken with fried plantain. Now this is not tostones like you might see in Puerto Rico. This is the maduros. That means they're ripe, and that means the plantains are sweet. So this is absolutely delicious. If we have enough time, I'm gonna make a little onion topping to go on top of that. So let's get started. For any of you who are cooking tonight alongside with me, let's get our stuff out. I've got a tray of goodies over here. Let's take a look. The old Rachel Ray method, except I don't think she normally uses a tray. Anyway, so inside the brown bag, the mystery bag, we have plantain, otherwise known as plantain. Who says it like that? Who says plantain? Americans. I don't know why. We say plantain in Belize, and I'm never going to say it any other way, because I also am not going to say jalapeno or jalapeno, because that's not how you say it either. So anyway, you want a black plantain. The darker the outside, the better. When we first moved to Florida, they asked me if I really wanted this rotten banana, and it was much darker than this, and absolutely, you definitely want it to be as dark on the outside as possible, because that's what's going to tell you that it's sweet on the inside. So it's ripe. Now over here we've got a few other things: some coconut oil, bay leaf, oregano, some canned tomatoes. Now, you might be wondering, if you've ever been to Belize, you're not going to see a whole lot of canned products with barcodes. But here in the States, it's a lot harder to find the products that you need to make Belizean rice and beans and stewed chicken. So we take some, this is the Americanized version. This is a few things that you can use regardless of where you live. It doesn't matter if you're up in the Arctic tundra. You can usually get canned tomatoes if you can't get them fresh. Now, typically in Belize, this is made with fresh tomatoes. So this is this version is kind of like an Americanized weeknight special, because also typically you would be using beans that you've cooked for 2.5 hours with a bunch of onions and different spices. So rather than doing that, since most people don't have 2.5 hours to make their beans, we're going to go ahead and use red kidney beans. Now I prefer Goya. Don't know if I'm allowed to say brand names. I'm just telling you that's the one I like, because some of the other ones, they put sugar in the beans, and that is not tasty. Let's just skip that. So there are a few different ways to make rice and beans and stewed chicken. You'll find that different parts of the country have a little bit slightly different influence. And my recipe is the one that my stepmom has always made. And it's always the one that, you know, fed my soul and makes me miss home. So I hope that you'll enjoy it as much as I do. All right, so we've got rice, we've got Worcestershire sauce, we've got soy sauce, beans, coconut milk, coconut oil, and some of the other spices that you saw earlier. Oh, and if you like the hot stuff, this is the hot sauce that we're giving away tonight. So what you need to do to win this is you need to watch live. You're already here. Go ahead and share this feed on your Facebook post, on your Facebook wall. And then hop on over to our YouTube channel. Just look up Vanessa Takes On YouTube and click subscribe. If you do that, you'll automatically be entered to win this backside burning hot sauce. It's genuine Marie Sharp's habanero hot sauce. You can't find this just anywhere. And let's see, over here we've got some jasmine rice. So you can use basically any kind of white rice for this. I prefer either jasmine or basmati. You can use the long grain rice. The basmati rice has a slightly different cooking time. And this is you're probably not going to see in the States. This is, let's see if I can open it up here a little bit. This is recado rojo. Take a look here. Can we get Are we getting a good shot there? It's like a red brick paste. And it's a mixture of a few different spices. I have it listed on the shopping list that was posted inside the event. So if you want to take a look at the different spices that they use to make this, it's originally from the Yucatan. Belize has influence from both Mexico, as well as we have influence from down south, which is the Garifuna. The Garifuna are the descendants of slaves, so we have a lot of African influence in some of our cooking, and that's what makes Belize such an interesting place. It's a melting pot of cultures. So what do you do if you can't find this stuff, right? I gotcha. First of all, almost all of you can find something called annatto, A-N-N-A-T-T-O. And it's just like a little red pebble. And they come in a little bag. You can find it in the, what you call it, the international aisle. You can grind that up and add a few different spices to it that I listed in the list earlier, which is like cumin and oregano and a few other things. So you can take the annatto from the store and you can add it to this stuff. Now, normally I'm not a fan of pre-mixed, seasonings, but it is hard to get exactly the seasonings that you're looking for in the States. So feel free to go ahead and grab some of this stuff. It actually, this Goya adobo has coriander and annatto already in it. So that is one possibility, but you're gonna have a whole lot of salt in this, as opposed to if you do it without this, you can control the salt a whole lot more. All right, so I think that explains all the goodies. I'm gonna move the tray back over. This is when I wish we had some music that we could play. All right. This used to be my good apron before my picnic decided to ruin it. So it's got paint all over it now, but that's okay. It'll do. All right. What are we drinking tonight, folks? I've got a, this is a Matua. It's a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand, which is about the only white wine that I drink anymore. But since we're pairing it with chicken, I figured this would be a delicious, crisp blend. So let's go ahead and get the chicken out of the fridge. If you've got chicken, go ahead and you want to cut that in half, like the chicken breast. You want to go ahead and cut that in half. You don't want the huge, long chicken breast because it'll take too long to cook. Plus, the chicken breasts in the States tend to be pretty large. And so if you cut them down, really that's about the portion size that most humans need. The chicken breasts that they have here are so ridiculous in proportions that, like, unless you're in the military, I don't know why you would need to eat that much chicken. So let's grab that. And do we have any comments from the comment section there, Peanut Gallery?
Hi, cheers.
Cheers.
Salute.
Cheers. Salute.
Miss you.
Miss you too. Who's missing me?
Ginny.
Miss you too, Ginny. All right. Let's go ahead and get the adobo out. So this stuff is gonna ruin your nails. Just letting you know right now, it's really, 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 really staining. So let's grab this. Now you kind of have to activate this paste a little bit. You can do it with lime, you can do it with vinegar, you can do it with a little splash of water. Honestly, I'm just gonna add a splash of water. We really don't need much. Now in Belize, you can just take this ricotta and rub it right on the chicken. But this ricotta I've had in the fridge because it's like gold to me, so I don't use it except sparingly. So it's a little bit more dry since I keep it in the fridge, and that's why I'm hydrating it with a little bit of the water. All right, let's see. If you got one of these, use it. I'm just gonna like mash up a little bit of the ricotta on the inside here. If you don't, you can just use a spoon or a fork. And if you're not using ricotta, go ahead and just use some of the adobo on the chicken along with some coconut oil. Pretty much everything that is oil related in this episode is going to be coconut oil related. So here's the chicken. I took chicken breasts and I literally just cut them in half. You might have to cut through the bone with the scissors, like the kitchen shears. And so I've got 4 in here ready to go. And I'm gonna pour that on. Get everything in the bowl and mix it together. And it's going to cover it and it's going to be all red. Now, normally when you get it to this stage, you would go ahead and put onions and like a green bell pepper and just let that, and some tomatoes, and just let that marinate for a while in a bag. A bag is great because it just makes it, the marinade has no place else to go but into the chicken. So that's normally what I would do at this point. Now, with this recipe, it's a little bit different because this is my quick weeknight recipe. So go ahead and just set this aside for a minute. Wash off your ricotta hands. You can, if you don't have any of that, even the adobo stuff that I recommended, you can use cumin and garlic powder, onion powder. That's the thing about cooking. You know, you just kind of have to use the ingredients that you have. And keep in mind that if you don't know what's in something, use the internet. That's what it's for. It's the greatest research tool ever. So I'm gonna put this back in the fridge for a second. Okay, and you know what? I need a refill. We just started, and I started on like a semi-empty glass. Oh, cameraman needs a refill too. Cheers! Salud, dinero y amor! All right. Oh, and a beer. That's right. See? Jingle the can and I'll remember. Thank you, cameraman. All right, let's go ahead and get the coconut or the rice washed. Grab a strainer. So you're gonna need about a cup of rice. This recipe is good for about 3 people. If you want, you can double it up and you've got some leftovers. Also, my kid loves this, and in Belize, all the little Belizean kids eat this. The rice and beans is so delicious with the coconut milk, and it fortifies it. It's rich with all kinds of delicious nutrients from the coconut itself. So let me grab the rice. So why do we wash the rice? Any takers? Anybody know the answer? I'm sure you do. Rice is very starchy, and if you don't wash it, then it will become very sticky and starchy when you cook it. And you'll find that when you rinse it, the water turns milky white, the water that's running out. This also gives you an opportunity to pick out anything that is not rice that may be in the rice. And anybody who's ever, bitten down on a piece of rock in their rice will tell you need to pick through the rice. Luckily, the rice that we get in the States is pretty good, knock on wood. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let that drain for a second and turn on the front burner. I have the coconut oil. And we're gonna put about that much. This is the problem, is I don't cook with recipes. Just like a dollop on the bottom. You want it to melt, you want it to coat the bottom of the pan. You want it to be nice and warm, because at this point, you want to cook the rice in the oil for just a little bit. It'll turn the rice slightly translucent, and that will help to protect the rice so that it can survive a little bit longer cooking time. All right. Let's see, we got the rice on. Let me check my list, because when you're cooking on live TV, you have to follow your little cheat sheet. All right, so if everybody who's following along with cooking, if you could take your onions out, please, class. take out your onions and your green peppers. And the cilantro. And some garlic. There we go. So, since I'm going to be doing a lot of talking, which is going to slow me down, I prepped a couple of things in advance. I've got some green peppers here already chopped up and some onions mostly chopped up. I'll save this one for this moment so we can do a little bit of this together. Supposedly these onions don't make you cry. Honestly, I find that sweet onions, usually you don't have a problem with them as much as some of the others. They don't make you cry as much. So we should have a crew from Belize watching tonight, so for all of you joining us, thank you. And give these just a little extra rough chop there. Perfect. Add them to the bowl. And there we go. Now over here, this is some chopped up garlic. And I put that with a little bit of olive oil. I didn't use the coconut oil this time because you want to make sure that it doesn't get gelatinous on you, and that's exactly what coconut oil will do if you stick it in the fridge. So this was only in there for a little bit. The olive oil's good for at least a little while. And then let's go ahead and chop up some cilantro. So if you want to work on that while I'm talking. And I think that we should have a warm enough pot to go ahead and stick the rice in. All right. So at this point, what I'd like to do is bring the camera over to this side so you can see it better. So just hang tight for a second. Elena says, if you're a jealous person, you'd cry from the onions. That's funny. All right, forgive the slight wobble there. Okay. All right, very good. I'm going to go ahead and turn on my other burner on low. So, can you see me on YouTube there?
Yes.
I think that one needs to be turned a little more.
I'm trying.
Okay. So I'm dealing with an electric stove here, which is not as much fun as doing, you know, a gas stove. A gas stove is far more responsive. So I'm going to let this other one start to warm up a little bit because otherwise it will take a while. So you can see that this is nice and liquidy inside. It's gonna coat the bottom, and the oil starts to do like a little shimmery dance across the bottom. You'll see it start to like glisten, and that's how you know it's ready. We take our rice.
Avery's going to sleep now. She stayed up to watch you a little bit.
Oh, I love you, baby. My daughter's going to sleep, so I just want to say I love you. Sleep well. Okay, so you heard that little sizzle when they first put the rice in there. That's how you know that the pan is hot enough. One of the biggest mistakes people make is not having a hot enough pan when they're cooking, just in general. You have to have a hot pan, throw the cold oil in there, let it heat up. You throw your food in there and it won't stick as long as you don't like mess with it right away, especially if it's chicken or any kind of meat. So I'm just moving this around a little bit, the inside, letting it coat the rice. Give it a little shake, let it sit there for a second, it's gonna cook. I'm gonna go ahead and open up my cans. Now, again, if you were making this in Belize, you would not be using canned stuff. You would be using real coconut milk that was like grated from a real coconut and somebody like squeezed it through a cheesecloth or that and got the milk out of it. So unless you're gonna have somebody scale a tree, that's probably not happening in the States. And also with the beans, you probably don't have already pre-made awesome beans that you cooked for 2.5 hours. So we're using the red kidney beans with no sugar in them. Always rinse the top of your cans because there's just nasty stuff on top there.
Cannot get this one to work.
You can't get that one to work. We're having difficulty with the Facebook camera right now. Getting it to be cooperative. So open up the coconut milk. Now, I do not really use the Thai coconut milk. I find that it's way too sweet. I like the Mexican coconut milk better. It's a lot more, I guess, conducive to what we're doing. All right.
All right, that's not working either. Trying to keep.
All right, so now that we have the rice in here, can we get a close-up shot? Or let me move this a little closer. Here we go. And there we go. You'll see the outsides start to get a little bit clear. And at that point, you can go ahead and add the beans. That's a happy sound right there. All right. Now, if you're cooking like beans that are hard, you never want to add salt until they're soft. These are already soft, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to go ahead and add it now. I use kosher salt. I like kosher salt because you can handle the salt better. And by the way, it's less salty. So that might look like a lot of salt if it were regular, you know, the table salt that you would see on your average table. But this kosher salt is easier to manage and less salty, and you can there's a less of a risk of over salting your food with kosher. All right. So when I put in the can of beans, I dumped the whole thing in there. There was no draining or anything. Just chuck the whole thing in there. In fact, there's a little bit of bean juice left. Leave that. That's good. Okay. Now, let's see. I'm going to get a close-up on this here. Let's go ahead and add the coconut milk. Please remember to recycle if you can. We got enough trash going into the ocean right now. So give that a little stir. And you're going to let it come up to temperature. I'm going to stick the lid on there so it starts to just simmer a little bit, and then we'll drop it down. So I'm going to set the timer for about 2 minutes, only because I lose track of time. That's the way it goes. All right, let's get that. I had it on low. We're going to get this puppy cranked up to about 6 on my stove here. Let's get the chicken out.
Attempt number 1500.
Thank you, cameraman. My husband Tanner's on the camera right now, so thanks to him for helping me out tonight. Let's see. So I'd like to heat up this coconut oil just a smidge. Put a little bit in there. Stick it in the microwave. Let's see. We'll do on. Put it on defrost or level 3. That'll just barely heat it up. You need it for about 30 seconds, maybe less. You don't want it to be any hotter than that, or it'll start like popping and exploding in your microwave. Pew, pew, pew. I don't know why I have the girl from Ipanema stuck in my head right now. That's the music that's playing in my head that we can't play because of copyright law. All right. That was about 30 seconds, so I'm going to give it a little bit more on defrost. Let it go all the way down. Now, the reason I'm using the clear lid is also so you'll be able to see through to the bottom here. It's just starting to simmer a little bit. I'm going to let it simmer a little bit longer, and then we'll be good. Okay, so that was about 45 seconds to melt the coconut oil. Voila. There we go for the chicken. Oh, that's just the timer. All right, so now that you've got this all perfectly set up, is it possible to zoom in over here on the, so I'm not gonna lift this lid. I'm just looking at the comments here. We are spoiled. We are totally spoiled, Amy. Okay, so it's bubbling, and now I'm gonna go ahead and drop it down because it's been doing that for about almost 2 minutes. Sorry, I tweaked that there. You might have to fix that there.
Great, you broke it.
I know, I broke it. Ah! So go ahead, drop that down to simmer, and set your timer for about 45 minutes. Timer on. Now, right about now, right about now. Does anybody know? That's not no. Okay. So go ahead and get ready to add the chicken into the pan. Now, in Belize, again, this stuff would have been like marinating with the tomato and the onion and the bell pepper and the whole 9 yards. We're still gonna add that. I'm just doing it a little bit differently because this is the weeknight quick special. All right, so let's go ahead and get some a little more coconut oil because there's not enough coconut oil in this dish. Okay, in case you didn't know. So about that much, again, about a glop. These are real professional measurements here, people.
There was a dollop.
What's that?
It was a dollop.
It was a dollop. Actually, that dollop needs a little bit more of a dollop. Okay, so we want it to coat the bottom of the pan. Like so. And then, you know, like so. But it needs to heat up and start to wiggle and do its little shimmy, and then you know it's happy and you're ready to go ahead and put the stuff in. Oh my gosh, I said happy. That's what Emerald would always say. Dios mío. Okay, I think I'm gonna have a sip of my wine. I hope y'all are imbibing with me, so I'm not the only one. Although my husband, the cameraman, is imbibing, so we're good.
Say what?
Say what? All right, let's see. Can we get a little close-up of the shimmering dance that it's doing over here? Okay, not sure because I'm taking this off the heat, but you can see that the oil starts to move a little bit. You know that it's hot enough. The reason that you're doing this is simply because you don't want the chicken to stick. So we're gonna put the chicken into the tub, and then we're not gonna mess with it because it's bad to, why is it, you know, why is it that some people think that cooking is like, I have to be like stirring and shaking and lifting lids and messing with the chicken and messing with the steak and lifting up the lid on the grill. That cooking, a lot of cooking is like you put it on and then you take a sip of wine and you tell the kid to turn down the TV. That's mostly a lot of cooking. So I think that's what wine is for. All right, let's get these bad boys in here. Oh, I almost forgot. Sugar. This might seem a little bit strange, but I swear it works. All right, I've got a little bit. This is, because this has chicken on it, so I don't want to touch anything. You're gonna brown up a little bit of sugar. I only had about like a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons in the bottom of the pan there, or in the bottom of this container. Put that in the bottom of the pan, let it get hot. Wash my hand. Do we have any questions? No? Everybody's good. Nobody has questions. It's all good. All right. So, YouTube. I'm going to come in on YouTube here and get a little bit closer for a second. I'm probably going to hit the legs on some stuff. But anyway, now you can see we got the rice and beans cooking, the sugar's in the pan. We want it to turn slightly brown because we want it to caramelize a little bit. I would love to tell you why on earth we do this. I don't really know why. I can just tell you that we do. And it's really good. Okay, let me grab this one real quick. There we go. Aha, you see it's starting to, this is starting to steam and it's gonna burn any second. So here you go, cameraman. I gotta cook. Take over. Once it starts to smoke, that's when you add it. And listen, this shit is hot. Sorry, bad word alert. All right, one of these boys accidentally went in not face down, but that's okay, we can live. Now, because this is the part that's messy, I highly recommend investing in a splatter mat so you don't have it everywhere. And turn it back down to a reasonable setting so you don't set off the alarm. And I'm washing my hands. The idea is here to go ahead and brown the chicken on both sides, and then put in your tomatoes and onions and bell peppers and garlic and all that stuff, and cover it and let it just kind of stew on low for a little while. And then we will get started on the onion chopping, and then we will get started on the fried plantain. So if you are going to be cooking along with us tonight, or if you've already doing so, you can take out a frying pan, like a cast iron skillet, or something that's got at least a decent lip on it, about that much, so that we can do the frying. You can either do the fried plantain that is from the actual, from the actual plant. It's all from the same plant. You can do the real life one, or if you can't get one that is black enough on the outside and therefore sweet enough, you can go the other route, which is the frozen one, and I'll show you that too. This is backup, just in case you can't find really good sweet plantains, you can do this instead. And make sure that they say maduros, because that's the right part, and there's other ones that are tostones, and they're just not my cup of tea. And they would not go with this dish at all. All right, so I am going to shimmy that a little bit because it's been cooking just long enough that I can start to smell that it's browning. And the chicken will like give way. Any kind of meat, when you're cooking it, at a certain point, it'll automatically just let loose. So that's why you don't mess with it in the beginning. Otherwise, that really will stick. Set this in the kitchen. All right, so this is tamari. Tamari is similar to soy sauce, but soy sauce has a lot of wheat in it, and a lot of people, I didn't know that, you know, it can have up to 45% wheat in it, and I can't really understand why that's necessary for soy sauce. So tamari is basically like 100% soy, no wheat, and it is so flavorful. Once you have this, you'll never want to go back to regular soy sauce again. This helps with the salt factor. And then the Leon Perrins is excellent. The Worcestershire sauce is excellent in this. You know, Belize is a former British colony, so we do have a little bit of colonial cooking involved. This has a little bit of tamarind in it and a few other flavors that really make this dish come out. So take a look over here. You know what? I didn't season the chicken right before I put it on, so I'm going to do that now. And if you love these, they're available at BelizeGifts.com in Belize, obviously. But those are made on my brother's property at Belize Gifts, and just some of the most amazing woodworking you've ever seen. So check it out. And now, you see that nice caramelization there? That's good, that's what we want. The sugar definitely helps with that. The idea is to cook the outside very quickly, and then will let the inside get cooked in the stewing process when we cover it with the lid, okay? So this is doing its thing. I think at this point, we can go ahead and open up the tomatoes. Now, if you've got fresh tomatoes, great. Chop them up and put them with your onions and bell peppers like we had set aside a second ago. Everything's gonna go in the pan in just a minute here. In the meantime, I have these because I want to showcase how you can do this with even canned tomatoes. And sometimes the tomatoes that you have at the store are not all that fresh. They're not all in season. And they get that pink look instead of red. And that's usually an indication that they were hastily ripened with a gas as opposed to them ripening naturally on the vine. Generally speaking, the canned ones are usually pretty darn ripe. And if you can get your hand on San Marzano tomatoes, while those are not Belizean, they're just the most incredible canned tomatoes you've ever tasted. It's the volcanic soil in the region. So, all right, let's get this open. There we go. I'm telling you, I've had this thing for so long, and I wouldn't trade it for one of those silly electric pot. You know, we used to have so many appliances, and it was ridiculous. You couldn't, it took up all the counter space. This is amazing. It works when there's a hurricane. It works when there's no electricity. It just works. And all I can say is keep it clean, you know? All right. This chicken is looking good. I think it's time for us to go ahead and turn it down. Actually, sorry, hang on. Before you turn it down, let's just go ahead and get the onions in here and the bell peppers. Now, don't use all of the onions. If you cut up, like for this recipe, I would cut up 2 small onions because you're going to use at least one in this dish, and then you're going to use the other one for like the onion topping, which is like, it's kind of like a pickled onion topping, but it's made fresh. So I like doing this way because you can get all of the flavors meld together in the pan. And the onions, because they have so much water in them, they actually help to loosen up and deglaze all the stuff off the bottom of the pan. So put the onions in there, let them sweat and do their thing, and we're going to put some bell peppers in there too. In fact, I am going to turn this back up now that the onions are in. The bell peppers were right under my nose. Can Facebook see the pan right now, or is it blocked by the big pot? Okay.
Not really. Kind of, sort of.
There we go. Facebook. So the way the burners are set up, this one is the bigger burner, so that's why I'm on this side here. And all of my lighting is over there. So I apologize that we don't have, you know, more direct camera footage here, but you know, this is why we need a studio, and people can contribute and help us out to build our own little empire. Our little cooking show empire. Ha. This dish does not taste right without green pepper. I'm just saying, it doesn't. Also, you'll notice that not all Belizean food is necessarily spicy. A lot of times the spice is additional, so you can just add, you know, whatever it is as a topping. And that's wonderful for people who aren't really all that into spice. Personally, I never really liked hot stuff until I was in my 20s. And so, like the hot sauce, I never really ate this stuff until I came to the States and was in my 20s. I think I've been living here like almost 10 years before I started eating hot sauce. Oh, and the smell. Can you smell it? Oh, I'm just waiting for some kind of Star Trek-like invention so that you can smell this. Now the thing is, I don't want to keep lifting the pan because it's going to reduce the heat, and you want this to stay going. Look at that. I said it was going to be a 45-minute show. It's already been a 45-minute show. Now that the onions have picked up a little bit of color and whatnot from the bottom of the pan, I'm going to go ahead and just give them a little shimmy. You see the brown, let me grab this one. Oh, see the brown that when I'm shaking it, it's coming up over the side. Yep, Chelsea says not everyone has tomatoes year-round in their backyard. Absolutely true, which is exactly why I wanted to do this special with canned tomatoes, even though it's not exactly the same as the way we do it in Belize, but that's okay. This is how we do it.
Oh my goodness.
This is how we do it. I probably can't say that either. I'll get in trouble for copyright. Everything's copyright infringement. All right, let's add the garlic. So if you don't know how much that was just now, that was approximately 1 giant clove. If you could do 2 small cloves instead, and of course if you're making a bigger recipe, just use more garlic. You can pretty much never have too much garlic. That's my philosophy. I don't care if you're sweating it the next day, it's good for you. All right, let's see. Can you check the camera on that one, see if we're good? This is wunderbar. Let's go ahead and add the tomatoes. If you have them fresh, put them in. If you have them canned, put them in. Also want to give a big thank you to Dillis Victoria for helping me out with the Sip and Chat movement. Anybody who's here from Sip and Chat, thank you for joining us. It's super awesome to have you here. And of course, all of my friends and family who are watching this tonight, be sure to share this on your feed and check us out on YouTube and subscribe so that we can build our channel and build our little empire and you can be a part of it. That's my speech. I'm sticking to it. All right, so it's getting happy over here, and now is that lid that I took out a little while ago. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I only took out the one. Nope. That's how you know I didn't take out the other one, when you hear like bang, dang, 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 dang. Oh, I need to get in here for a second. Sorry. I thought I had it all.
Clang.
Cue, didn't we almost have it all in the background?
Boom, clang.
Okay, so I'm putting the lid on it and I'm reducing it down. We're gonna reduce it to about 3.5, 4 on this. Gosh, I wish I had a gas. Can I just tell you how much I wish I had a gas stove? Because it is just a giant pain in the arse to cook on something that doesn't respond right away. But, you know, gotta make do. And I'm happy to have a kitchen and happy to have a roof over my head and happy to have a stove to cook on, because there's a lot of people out there who don't have it. So, hallelujah, I'm not gonna complain. And on that note, cheers, everyone. Let that do it, its little thing. Now, the onions. Super simple. You're gonna take the onions that you already chopped. You're gonna grab a little salt. A pinch of salt, about that much. You're gonna take some cracked pepper. Let's see, where can I do this where they can see me? Over here, does that work? I have no idea.
YouTube has a much better vantage point, so.
Let me stick this on here and let it balance on top of this little handle. No, it's not gonna work. So, okay, here we go.
Now I'm blocking YouTube.
Sorry. Pepper. I just added salt to my salt. That's okay. Doesn't really matter. It's kind of hard to oversalt these onions. They're just going to sweat out. We're going to add vinegar to them. So if you have white vinegar, regular white vinegar, and then you just like pour in, you know, like that much. Just enough to like cover them.
Glug.
Glug. A glug. This apparently is the unit of measurement for Vanessa Takes On is a glug or a glop or a blob. So, remember these? This is cilantro. I know some of y'all don't like cilantro, and I just don't know what to say about that. I think you're just partially defective, and you need to just turn in that taste bud that you got sentenced to and exchange it for one that likes cilantro, because it is crazy. This is literally like, this and rosemary are my two favorite spice or herbs in the whole world. So, yeah, fix that broken cilantro taste bud if you don't like it. I'm gonna save some of this also for the stewed chicken. So this looks, let's see. You see the way that this is bubbling a little bit? I feel like I want that to be just ever so slightly lower. I'm gonna turn that down to 3. There we go. With your onion topping, you're pretty much good to go. You just mix the cilantro and the vinegar, the onions, salt, pepper, and then, whoa, close up. This is my own personal stash here of Marie Sharp's. So this is what we do. We just add, you know, a little bit. Do not put this on a spoon and eat it, okay? And the reason I'm mentioning that is because that's literally what we witnessed somebody do one time when we offered them a little bit because they were a connoisseur of habanero hot sauces, and he actually, I think he put it on the spoon for his kid, didn't he? And the kid ate it, and the kid didn't complain, so I'm just saying. And he was like 6 years old, this kid, and he just took it. So anyway, there we go. You can cover this and stick it in the fridge and we're good to go. Honestly, this is gonna be in there for such a short time, I'm not gonna bother covering it. If the onions are gonna be in there for any length of time, more than like a half an hour, cover it. Onions are weird. They absorb stuff in the air. I've heard this is an old wives' tale, but I can tell you from experience from leaving out a cut onion, it gets weird and you wouldn't want to eat the part that's exposed. It gets like all soft and not appropriate for cooking. All right. Now, hang on. I'm gonna lift the lid for just a second because I want to add some spices to this. Add some oregano or oregano for our Americans, because it's America. And a little bit of soy sauce. Now, some people actually do this to the chicken. Like they put the soy and the Worcestershire on the chicken. That's up to you how you want to do it. Some people I've seen, they don't do this. Some of them don't even add tomatoes. I was like, what? So, see, that's the thing. I don't know how much I just did right there, but I'm guessing, if I had to guess, it'd probably be about a teaspoon of each, roughly. If anything, go less. You can always add more. You can't take it away. All right, so, and I'm gonna add a little bit more cracked black pepper. And a bay leaf, my last bay leaf. This is so important for cooking soups and stews and beans. Like I love beans. I love beans with bay leaf in it. It gives it so much flavor. And there we go. Cover that up. Let that cook down. All right. What's next? I think we're gonna deal with this, so let's move the cameras back over real quick. We got a speedy cameraman over here who promptly started moving the cameras back over. All right, bear with us here. Oh my goodness. Bueno, pues, ¿qué hacemos? Let's clean up just a little bit, get our rice out of the way. If you guys don't have these containers, they're totally worth it. I think it's like $100 for the whole set, but it keeps all the bugs and spiders and undesirables out of your food. It's great for pasta and cereal and rice and all kinds of stuff. Dog treats, whatever you want to do. Okay. Now, for my rotten veg, aka plantain, I'm gonna cut just the tips off here. Save this for your compost. If you can, you know, this is my little compost bucket. I just keep this from some of the lettuce that we buy. You can throw anything that's, you know, not oily, anything that's natural into the compost pile and chuck it outside, and you will help build better soil for yourself. So right now I just went ahead and cut this open like lengthwise, and we're gonna peel this back. And it just looks like a slightly orange banana, but a little bit larger. Banana peels and plantain peels are one of the best things for your garden. They decompose really quickly. Before I cut this up, I want to start up the frying oil. So traditionally they would fry this with coconut oil, but coconut oil is very expensive in the States, so most people would not have like a giant thing of coconut oil for them to put at the bottom to fry it up. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to slice it on the bias. You want them to be about that thick. And that's really all she wrote as far as that's concerned. So, right now, while this is cooking down, all right, let me show you something real quick. Can you bring the YouTube camera over? Can you see how much that's bubbling? That's too much. So we want to reduce that down a little bit more. I'm going to turn that down. And because you just want a nice slow simmer. You don't want to overcook the chicken and have it be stringy. All right, there we go. Ah, it's falling over. All right, seriously, we're getting new, some new tripods in the future. There we go. And I'm gonna have a little bit more wine. Does the cameraman need another beer?
Yep.
So anyway, I love Belizean cooking. I miss it so much. We just, you know, we don't get access to this kind of food. In the States, you pretty much have to make it. So this is why we're here. This is why we're doing this. And every Friday night, this is what I would like to be doing and sharing my time with you. So I hope that you'll help to get the word out and share this good fortune. Salud. Let's clean up real quick. This is where I need the music playing and we can cut to the next sequence where like the food is magically done. Of course it's not, but that's okay. We've got about 17 minutes left on the rice and beans timer, and we've got a little bit longer on the stewed chicken. Let's see how hot this is getting back here. The oil's getting nice and hot in the back here. What I'm probably going to do is switch the front and back burners so that I can get the frying pan in the front. Let me see if I can do that now. Very gently and carefully when you're moving hot oil.
Okay, this tripod really sucks.
You know, what are you going to do? It's made in China. Oh. Sorry if anybody in China is watching and is offended by that. All right. what I'm gonna do right now is
Snap.
get that a little bit hotter, and I'm going to take a quick potty break. Hang on, I'll be right back. Hit stop. Okay, we're back. So, Belizean food, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. You know, you've got so many different influences from different parts of the country that you end up with some of the most fantastic food. One of the things that I would like to do next is called tamalitos. Now, this is not the same as tamales. Tamales are, they usually have meat inside of them, and they're not made with sweet corn. Whereas the stuff that we call tamalitos, the other name for it is ducunu, and it comes, I believe, comes from down south of Belize. And it's like sweet corn with some other flavors, and you put it inside of the husk, the corn husk, and you fold it up and put it inside of a steaming basket and wrap it all up with like cloth at the top so none of the steam escapes. And you steam it forever. When you take it out, it is like this heavenly, delicious corn cake type flavor that'll just blow your mind. And honestly, I haven't had it since I've been to Belize, or since the last time I went back to Belize, which unfortunately was 2005. It's been way too long. But for those of you who don't know, that is actually where I'm from, Lee White Gal from Belize. That's where I was born and raised. And I've been living in the States since about 1996. So part of learning how to cook has also been learning how to cook some of the foods I grew up with. And I didn't necessarily learn how to cook those things while I was there. A lot of the things I kind of watched, and it wasn't until later on when my developed for cooking, not just baking, when that really fostered, or when I had someone to kind of foster that, which my stepmom came up and started teaching me some of these things. And, you know, it's just been such a gift. And now I'm happy to be able to share it with you. So let's check on, let's see, check on our frying pan here, make sure it's nice and hot. Almost, we're getting there. I wish I could have a little mariachi band come on, or some drummers right now for some entertainment. We have some like live dancers to make the time span catch up to where we need to be. But here we are. So I'm glad that we're here spending this Friday night together. And very shortly we'll be able to get these bad boys, the sliced plantain, into the hot bubble bath that is the oil. You can usually tell just by the look of it, it's almost starting to bubble. So any second now we'll be able to put those in. And let's have a look-see real quick. I'm gonna grab the Facebook one here. You see that the rice and beans, the water content has reduced substantially. And the more that goes down, then that's how you know that it's starting to cook all the way down. Because you don't want any of that, any of the residual water content to still be anywhere near the surface, otherwise the rice will not be ready. And no matter what you do, don't lift the lid. Don't lift the lid until like 45 minutes has passed. I swear you will regret it. You'll lose all of that steam and it won't be helpful at all. You won't be able to have it cooked, and it won't taste like, it'll end up tasting like the center of the rice is still raw. All right, move this back over here. I want to test it real quick. It's almost ready. It's almost ready. The thing with oil is that whenever you have it hot, anything that you add to it is going to drop the oil temperature. So you don't want to add a whole bunch of stuff to the oil until it has got the right temperature. And you don't want to overcrowd the pan either, because that will reduce the temperature and then it won't fry properly, and then it'll end up with greasy food because it goes into the food. Like, it seems like it, instead of frying the outside, it just penetrates into the food deeper and it doesn't taste very good. It tastes soggy. So let the oil get hot. Cold oil bad. That's the lesson of tonight. All right, it's starting to bubble and dance a little bit, so I think we're about ready to put this in. If you want, you can do this with either Crisco, which Crisco, for some reason, it's better for frying. It's not real great for your health, but it does not leave the frying scent in the air. Once you get rid of the Crisco, once it's solidified, you don't have it trapped in your house forever. But you can also use regular frying oil, like vegetable oil, something with a high smoke point, peanut oil. They do use coconut oil, but it's just hard to find that much quantity of coconut oil in the States and not pay an arm and a leg for it. So let's go ahead and pop that little one in. Let's get a close-up on that, the bubbling. There we go. And we'll get the other ones in as well. All right. Here we go. What's that?
Jimmy said, "Damn it, I'm not cooking with you, and I really want to taste it."
Aww. Well, now you got the recipe, Jenny. You can make this anytime. These cook pretty quickly, the plantain do. Just let them cook until they get, you know, nice and crispy on the one side. You don't want them to be too close to each other. Everybody, you know, it's kind of like the kids. Everybody needs a little space to breathe and grow and turn into beautiful, edible plantain. Okay, let's take a look over here at the stewed chicken. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit more because it looks like it's boiling, or it's bubbling a little bit intensively again. So you'll have more control if you do this directly on a gas, gas stove. You'll find that it responds to the heat or the lack thereof way faster than electric. But that's okay, you can still get the job done with electric. And you see around the edges it's starting to get brown. Come on down to Florida, Jenny. I see your post. We just got to get the old transporter working so we can beam you up or beam you down. And there's the rice and beans. It's almost done. Got about 7 minutes left on the clock there. All right. Let me set this down so I can deal with the flipping. Almost ready to flip. Now, I'm one of these people who really likes the plantain almost a little bit burnt around the edges. There's something about that jar. So it's up to you. You can experiment with this and see what you like. But you want to get a nice caramelization around all sides and for it to cook all the way through. And as it's cooking, you can see that it's going from a little bit of like an orangey color to a little bit more of a yellow color. And then it'll get golden brown on the outside. We're almost there. We're in the home stretch, y'all. This is it. Now, this meal is usually served on a Sunday. Normally, listen, this is low carb. So normally you would have rice and beans with stewed chicken, the fried plantain, and you would also eat it with potato salad and flour tortilla, because there's just not enough carbs and everything
Don't
else
forget the ketchup.
And you know what? I'm somebody who loves a little bit of ketchup on my beans. I don't know why. That's just the God's honest truth. There's something about it. It's magical. All right, see this little puppy right here? He was starting to heat up on me. We got two of them a little bit black, but that's how they taste really good. See, that one's not ready yet. We gotta circulate some of these bad boys to the center. Another one. Now you don't want to overfill the pan with too much oil, or you could have a serious, dangerous accident waiting to happen. Especially if you're dealing with real flame, like people are when they're dealing with a gas stove. That one's good. We can flip it now. That one's not quite. That one's not quite. Oh, that one kind of flipped itself, so I guess it decided on its own. Alright, I still got the girl from Ipanema stuck in my head. That's a Brazilian song, has zero to do with Belize. In case anybody thinks this is a Brazilian dish, it's not. It's Belize, B-E-L-I-Z-E. When I first moved here, I got that all the time. Oh, Brazil? Nope. Nope, I've never been to South America in my life, so it's definitely not Brazil. This is what you need to do. Do it quickly if it's cooking. Get yourself a plate. Get yourself some paper towels on said plate, because you're gonna have to make for an emergency evacuation here of these good men. That one. Last flippage for some of these little ones who didn't go right away. On the inside, these are going to be so beautiful. And that one's ready to come out. That one's ready. See, when they go quick, so you got to get it done quickly. Otherwise, they will burn, and that's not good eating. All right, and that's that. Set them off to the side. Turn off the hot oil. And I would take it off the burner. I mean, if you've got, honestly, because our, what you call it is so sensitive, I'm just going to put this outside for a minute. If you got yourself a super hot pot, don't hesitate to just stick it outside. Last week our fire alarm go up, a little what you call it, the fire smoke alarm, because of the oven, because we gotta get ourselves some new smoke alarms. They've been in this house for a while. Okay, the chicken is looking really good. The rice is basically, it looks done. I mean, it's got a minute 35 left on the clock, so this is the home stretch. We're gonna be able to plate this up. You know, on these regular cooking shows, they always go ahead and like take a big bite and everything else. But here's the thing, it's nuclear hot when that happens. So I want to showcase this to you tonight, and I will not be taking a bite of nuclear hot chicken, because the chicken needs to rest. If you cut open chicken right away, just like with meat, steak or anything else, all of the juices flow out. So that's not good eating either. So once the chicken is done, let it rest for a minute. Let it just sit on the plate and just like mellow out with your food so that it comes down to a human eating temperature. I think that's how you know you're not supposed to mess with it, is it's your tongue is telling you this is insanely hot. You should maybe just wait a minute and be patient. And I'm going to clean up some of these things. We're about to take the rice and beans off and give it a stir. Now, for the hot sauce giveaway, make sure that you shared the event, you subscribed, and watched the event. And tomorrow, we will be announcing the winner on our Facebook page as well as Instagram. If you don't know who we are on Instagram, it's the same name, Vanessa Takes On. Check us out there as well. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Good stuff. Let's have a look at this rice and beans. There we go. See how good that looks? I'm gonna give that just a little bit longer because this is normally what I do. I take it off of the hot burner and just turn it off and let it rest for a second. And that's almost it, almost it, almost it. We're getting there, boys and girls. This is one of those times where you can take the opportunity to clean up the kitchen. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick now. Again, for any of you who missed the beginning, we seasoned the chicken with recado, which is a like a red spice. It's like a paste that you can get in Belize if you can't find it. I've listed a couple other places where you can kind of make it yourself from a few different spices. So check the shopping list that was posted inside this event and you'll be able to find that information. So we coated the chicken with the recado. We also put a little coconut oil on there, salt and pepper, threw it in the pan. At the bottom of the pan, we had coconut oil with a little bit of sugar, put the chicken in there, and then put in the tomatoes and onions and bell peppers and garlic, bay leaf. Let that kind of soak up some of the flavor. And then we added some more of the spices, the oregano, the soy sauce, the Worcestershire sauce, that sort of thing. This video will be available for you to watch tomorrow. We're going to save it so that it's available anytime. And that way, anybody missed the live show, you can still catch up on all of your favorite episodes as we record them. Remember to go ahead and like Vanessa Takes On so that you can get notifications both on Facebook Live or Facebook as well as YouTube. And it smells like heaven. Like, I'm sorry to torture you because if you could smell this, it's not right, people. It's not right. And that's usually the way Belizean food is. You know, it's all natural cooking. It's using the local ingredients that they have there. And since I'm not there, you have to make do with what you have. I'm going to go ahead and put away these tongs because they have chicken on them, raw chicken on them. And this is actually my rice and beans spoon, so we're good there. Put away the splatter mat for the chicken that we were doing earlier. And a few other things. So while you're cooking, if you do a little bit of cleaning up, you end up with less, fewer dishes at the end to deal with. We're almost done. Except for the falling strainer that just fell on my foot. You know, anybody who cooks on live TV will tell you it's difficult. It's challenging, but that's okay. We love a challenge. We love a challenge. Cooking is an art and a science at the same time. And doing it live is a whole nother ball of wax in and of itself. Alrighty, this looks good. I think we're gonna go ahead and take it out. Let's get both of these over here. We'll do the big reveal. All right, there we go. Here comes the rice and beans. Be careful of that steam, it's super hot. Sorry, can you grab that too? Thank you. And listen, do you see this right here? Do you see a little bit of that little crispy stuff on the bottom? I swear if it doesn't have that, it's not good rice and beans. And that'll fluff up all by itself. Just leave it for a minute, let it vent, because now you don't want it to cook anymore. Over here on this side, go ahead and lift the lid. Oh my badness. Look at that. That is like beauty. And the smell is outrageous. Put a little bit of cilantro in there at the end. You know, there's this stuff called culantro, which looks different. It's got a much broader leaf. It imparts a lot of the same flavor, but it's better for cooking because it can handle the stewing. Cilantro really can't, so I tend to add it at the end just for the flavor. That way it doesn't turn into slime when you're cooking it. Because who wants slime? Not me, not for dinner anyway. So that's that. Let's serve up a plate. Call it a night. Now, you can do this the fancy way with like putting a little dish that makes a dome and the whole 9 yards, but listen, I'm not worried about that right now. And we need a good old trusty fork. Grab that piece of chicken right there. Look at that. Por favor. And then a few pieces of fried plantain. And a little bit of the onion chopping. Listen, I'm gonna push this little bad boy off to the side there, because you know what? I want some of this onion chopping right here. Now, see, it's pickled down a little bit. It's still, you know, you can dice this up very finely. I'm not a huge fan of raw onion, but with the vinegar in there, it really does something to make it more mild, and it doesn't taste like regular onions. So I put a little bit of my stuff on there, the onion topping. And we call that a day. Delicious rice and beans and stewed chicken, courtesy of Belize, via Florida. And that's all she wrote, folks. I would like to thank all of you for joining us. This has been such a great night. This has been such a wonderful opportunity, and I'm happy to be able to share something with you that means a lot to me and my family. I hope that you will join us again. I hope that you'll subscribe, like, and share with your friends, and help us build our little channel here, cooking for America at large, and maybe the worldwide. Thank you all. Good night. Arrivederci. And everything else in all those other languages that I don't speak. Adios.